Most people will never tell you directly that they don't like you. It's not because they are kind, but because telling the truth requires a courage that most people lack. Instead, they choose a different approach: silence, politeness, and hiding their emotions behind smiles that are hard for you to distinguish as real or fake. And if you are not mindful enough to see these signs, you will continue to believe everything is fine while they have silently withdrawn from you long ago. Some relationships don't break with a fight. They break with a gradually widening distance, with cold glances, with words that seem harmless but leave a deep scratch in the heart. The most painful thing is not that they don't like you. The most painful thing is that you still cling to the feeling that you are important, even when you are no longer treated that way. The truth is, no one can pretend forever. A person who doesn't like you will reveal it through their actions, not their words. They will talk about you differently. They will react differently. They will look at you with the eyes they once reserved for others, not for you. Today, we will look directly at 7 subtle yet clear signs that someone doesn't like you, even if they don't say it. This is not for you to become suspicious or bitter, but for you to know when to let go, when to step away, and when to maintain your own self-respect. Because sometimes the thing you need most is not the comfortable truth, but the truth that sets you free. If you are looking to understand people more deeply to avoid unnecessary hurt, stay until the end of the video. You might clearly see what you have been ignoring all this time. Let's start with the first sign: how they talk about you when you are absent. Number 1, they talk behind your back. The first thing that shows someone doesn't like you is the way they talk about you when you are not there. No words reveal a person's heart more clearly than those spoken behind your back. They wait until you are absent to reveal their true selves. No acting, no need for politeness, no need to maintain an image. That is where true emotions surface, in conversations you are not invited into. I've experienced this in a way that perhaps everyone has. A friend treated me very kindly, spoke gently every time we met. But then, through a third party, I heard mocking comments about me. Remarks that seemed harmless but were embellished enough to turn a strength into a flaw, to turn a simple story into something laughable. Just those few small details were enough for me to realize the image they presented to my face was not the image they projected of me when I wasn't there. Bad-mouthing behind your back is never accidental. It is a choice. A safe choice to diminish you without having to bear the consequences of confrontation. People who don't like you rarely dare to say so directly. They choose to sow doubt in others, creating a distorted version of you, subtle enough for them to escape responsibility, but toxic enough to hurt you. And here is the hardest thing to accept. It's not that they hate you. Sometimes, they just don't want you to look better than them in the eyes of others. Sometimes they just feel small when standing next to you. So they use words behind your back to pull you down to a position where they feel safe. You don't need to chase after rumors to correct them, but you need to clearly see the character of the speaker. When you see that, you understand where you stand in their heart, and you know which boundaries need to be set to protect your peace. Because the person who is willing to break you with words behind your back will never be the one standing beside you when you need them. Number 2, their compliments come with hidden insults. A person who doesn't like you rarely chooses to make it public. They won't attack you directly. They will compliment you. But these compliments are wrapped in hidden implications, making you feel as if you've been gently cut by a subtle knife. On the surface, it's polite. Beneath, it's a skillfully executed put-down. I experienced this feeling when sharing a project I had spent weeks completing. The person looked at me, smiled, and said, "It's good. For your ability, that's pretty good." A statement that sounded like encouragement, but it made my heart sink. The compliment wasn't factually wrong, but it was profoundly disrespectful. Because what they were judging was not the work, but me. The problem with these kinds of compliments is not in the words themselves. It lies in the intention. The intention to keep you in a lower position than them. The intention is to remind you that no matter how hard you try, they still think you only deserve to get that far. And here is the part few people want to admit. Sometimes the people who deliver such compliments don't hate you. They are simply afraid you will advance further than them. Afraid you will cross a boundary they don't dare step over. What I've learned over time is people who genuinely value you will compliment you with sincerity. They want you to grow, not to stay stuck at a level they feel safe with. And looking back, you will realize something important. Your worth doesn't come from other people's praise, and certainly not from distorted compliments. What matters is not what they say, but what you choose to believe. At some point, you have to ask yourself, am I accepting compliments that make me feel smaller? Because if you continue to be silent, they will assume that silence is consent. The next time someone uses praise to conceal a subtle jab, you don't need to get angry, nor do you need to reply with annoyance. Just gently ask back, what do you really mean by that? That small question is enough to expose the entire hidden intention beneath it. It forces them to confront the very thing they are trying to hide and allows you to reclaim your position in the conversation. It might embarrass them. It might change the relationship. But your self-respect is worth more than superficial comfort. Life is too short to surround yourself with people who are only waiting for an opportunity to diminish you. If their friendship always comes with backhanded compliments, if their presence forces you to constantly doubt your self-worth, then perhaps what you need is not to try and keep them, but to allow yourself to step away. Because people who truly care about you will never need to make you small for them to feel big. Number 3, they get annoyed with you easily. You will realize someone no longer likes you, not by what they say, but by how they react to you. When a person holds goodwill, they are more generous and accommodating. But once their feelings have shifted, they become easily irritated by you in a way that is hard to conceal. This happens in every relationship: friends, colleagues, family, or romantic partners. You say a normal sentence, and they react more sharply than necessary. You ask them for a small favor, and they become annoyed. You share something, and they reply in a heavy tone that even they might not be conscious of. In romantic relationships, this sign is even clearer. It starts with small changes: less listening, less attention, less patience. Then it progresses to easily getting angry, being irritated by your words, actions, or even habits that you have always had. I was once in a relationship like that. When we first started dating, they always listened to me with all their heart. No matter what I said, their gaze was gentle. They were patient with my clumsiness and always there when I needed them. But then one day, I realized that just one misstep in my words could change the whole atmosphere. I showed concern. They replied indifferently. I wanted to share. They avoided me as if I was making them tired. The truth is, my position in their heart had silently changed long before I dared to see it. And the hardest thing was not accepting it, but stopping blaming myself. You cannot force anyone to like you, and you don't need to. In any relationship, once you realize that they are more easily irritated by you than by everyone else, it is not a coincidence. It is a message. You don't need to fix yourself just to conform to someone else's temporary feelings. Stand in a place that does not harm your inner peace. If someone constantly expresses annoyance toward you, see it as a reminder to keep your distance, because sometimes distance is how you reclaim your self-respect. Number 4, they avoid you and don't truly listen. You will know someone doesn't like you by the way they are present when you speak, or rather, the way they aren't present. You are sharing something important and they are looking at their phone. You ask a question and they answer vaguely, as if to end the conversation as quickly as possible. Or worse, you speak, but they don't remember anything you said. You are not invisible, but they treat you as if you are not worthy of their full attention. I was once in a conversation like this, trying to share a personal problem. The other person nodded cursorily, their eyes scanning their phone, their mouth offering mechanical responses like, "Uh-huh," and "Is that so?" But just minutes later, when someone else walked up, they immediately became animated, asking questions, listening intently to every word. That contrast spoke louder than any words. I was not the person they wanted to connect with. Avoidance is not the same as being busy. It is a choice. People listen to those they want to understand. People avoid those they want to keep at a distance. When they intentionally are not present in a conversation with you, it is not an oversight, it is a message. They don't avoid everyone. They only avoid you. They are not indifferent to everyone. They are only indifferent to you. This is not a personality issue. It is an issue of priority. You cannot control the attention or interest of others, but you can control what you continue to accept. A conversation is only meaningful when both people want to be present. If you are trying to maintain the rhythm, that relationship is no longer balanced. It is leaning entirely toward your side, and you are the most exhausted one. No one deserves to constantly feel like they are not worthy enough to be heard. When people don't give you a place in their dialogue, don't try to force your way in. Connection cannot be maintained by one party. Step out gently, because the place that doesn't listen to you is not a place worthy of your presence. Number 5, they're busy only when it's about you. The way a person allocates time for you speaks volumes about your place in their heart. With others, they are flexible, easy to arrange plans with, and might even change their entire schedule just to meet up briefly. But when it comes to you, they are always busy. Busy in a subtle way, busy in a repetitive way, busy in a manner that you can clearly feel is not accidental, but a deliberately created distance. I once fell into this situation and initially refused to believe it. I texted an old friend suggesting we meet after months of no contact. They said they were extremely busy right now and couldn't meet. But just a few days later, I saw them posting photos of themselves dining, going out, laughing comfortably with other people. That's when I realized that busyness was not for everyone. It was chosen to be used specifically for me. This indirect rejection is subtle because it doesn't hurt you immediately. It only forces you to ask questions you don't want to face. Am I as important to them as I thought? Or am I just a last resort? But if you are mindful enough to look closely, you will see that the human rule is much simpler. Those who want to see you will find a gap. Those who don't will find an excuse. Sometimes they don't intentionally try to hurt you. They just prioritize their life in a way that benefits them, and you are no longer on that priority list. It's not because you did something wrong, but because your position in their life has changed, and they have chosen not to vocalize it. The trap many people fall into is trying one more time, texting one more message, suggesting one more meeting, just to hold on to a position that the other person removed long ago. But you cannot sustain a relationship with one-sided effort. You also cannot maintain a connection with someone who only remembers you when they are free. The moment of maturity is when you stop trying to convince others to prioritize you. Not because you give up, but because you understand that your presence is only meaningful where people genuinely want you. If someone is only busy when it's your turn, that is not a signal for you to try harder. It is a sign for you to move on. Number 6, they quietly exclude you from their plans. A person doesn't need to say that they no longer consider you a part of their life. They just need to let you find out last. A gathering takes place without your knowledge, a shared plan that subtly leaves your name out, a group chat that you are no longer added to, or an important event you weren't invited to. I once knew that feeling when I opened social media and saw people I used to always be with sitting together, laughing comfortably, sharing moments exactly like the old days with only one difference. I wasn't there this time. No one told me they were busy. No one said, maybe next time. They simply didn't mention me in the plan. That absence speaks volumes more than any awkward conversation could. Exclusion from plans does not always stem from hatred. Sometimes it comes from a shift in energy. Sometimes they feel more comfortable without you, or sometimes they just no longer see you as an essential part of that circle. But the nature of the action remains the same. You have been moved to the periphery, silently but very clearly. The fact that they didn't invite you to a party or an event is not forgetfulness. It is a choice. A choice repeated long enough to become a habit. A choice that they know you won't ask about, and they don't need to explain. You cannot force anyone to keep you in their life, but you can clearly see what is happening. When the truth has changed its color, trying to cling to the old feeling only causes you more pain. Quiet maturity happens when you accept that some doors have closed, not because you did something wrong, but because that chapter has ended. No blame, no clinging, no debasing yourself to beg for a seat in a plan that wasn't meant for you. If someone quietly excludes you from the important things in their life, that is not an invitation for you to try harder. It is a reminder for you to dedicate your time to places where you are truly counted. Number 7, they become defensive or irritated by your success. A person who truly values you will be happy when you achieve a new milestone, whether big or small. Conversely, a person who doesn't like you will reveal their true feelings the moment you share something good in your life. Not through verbal insults, but through avoidance in their eyes and stiffness in their smile. Your success becomes something that makes them defensive. I once noticed this when I told a colleague that I had just reached a small milestone at work. Instead of congratulating me, they immediately changed the subject, talking about their own achievements or giving reasons why my success was no big deal. That moment was enough for me to understand that my joy was not on their list of things they wanted to hear. This reaction doesn't necessarily come from direct malice. It comes from comparison, something that happens silently but intensely within people who don't feel complete within themselves. Your success unintentionally shines a light on the parts they avoid looking at, and instead of facing it, they choose to react by diminishing you to elevate their own ego. The important thing is not to let that reaction make you doubt your own worth. It says nothing about you. It only reflects where they stand in their own life. You don't need to shrink yourself to make them less uncomfortable, but you need to be mindful enough to choose the right people with whom to share important moments. You must understand that not everyone can follow you through new milestones. Some people can only accompany you in the old phase, and when you begin to change, they will reveal the discomfort they have been trying to hide all along. If your success makes someone defensive or envious, that is not a signal for you to stop. It is a reminder that you are moving forward. And sometimes, moving forward means you have to leave a few people behind. There is one thing few people dare to admit. We often see the signs that others don't like us very early on, but choose to ignore them. Partly because we hope they will change, partly because we reassure ourselves that we are being overly sensitive. And then, somehow, we put ourselves in a position where we have to endure more than necessary. The signs you just heard are not meant to make you suspicious of everyone around you. They exist to remind you that your self-respect needs to be placed correctly. Not everyone who smiles at you is on your side. Not everyone silent is safe. And not everyone who is close to you is someone who wants you to be better. The only thing you can do is to see clearly. See clearly who genuinely values you, who is holding you back, who is making you doubt your self-worth, and who is only there because it suits them, not because of you. Recognition is not for resentment. Recognition is for you to choose the right place where you belong, because you don't need to strive to fit into a space that was fundamentally not meant for you. You just need to stand in a place where your presence is seen and respected. If this journey has made you feel a little lighter or helped you see something you previously didn't dare to face, please share it in the comments section below. Perhaps your story will help someone else find the direction they are struggling to find. And if you want to continue the journey of finding inner peace step by step, please subscribe to the channel. We still have many things to go through together. Remember that your self-respect is more important than any relationship that makes you feel small. If someone doesn't want you there, walk away gently. Not for them, but because you deserve to exist fully without needing anyone's permission.